So first things first, disconnect your negative cable from your battery and then turn on the headlights to drain the current out of the system. You don't want to risk setting off the airbag. But then you go on either side of the steering wheel, you've got this panel here. Just want to pop that off. Boom. And that'll give you access to these eTorx security bit on either side. Remove those. The steering wheel center will come out. If you don't have an eTorx socket, you get a 12.8 mil, and that'll fit on there. Perfect. Pop this yellow clip off. That's your airbag connector. There's these little tabs on the side. Comes right out. These are your connectors for your horn. Make sure you mark the shaft and the steering wheel so that you can put it back and it'll be perfectly straight and you won't have an alignment issue. I use this punch tool and you can see there's an indent on the shaft. I even did the nut just so I know that it's tight, and then one right up here. 17 millimeter impact socket on this, and impact gun gets it off pretty easy. You can get it off with a breaker bar, and you might need a steering wheel puller for this. Hopefully not. If it's not rusted on there too bad, you can usually get it off by prying back and forth on your knees and arms, and evenly back and forth, and wiggle it loose. Oh, there's another screw there holding that connector on there. Undo that. You don't want to turn this clock spring if you can avoid it, and if you do, be gentle with it and make sure that when you put it back in, you turn it side to side before you put the wheel on, and make sure that you get it in the center, because if not, you could be off a turn, and then when you go to make a turn with the car, you'll actually break the coil inside, and then your airbag light will come on. Carefully remove the screws that are holding the two trim pieces together. That one's kind of hard to get to without taking off this kick panel here, but I got it out. Carefully pry the panels apart. Oops, dropped the other screw. Those hazards. Okay, so I'm going to be replacing that stock there with a adjustable intermittent wiper stop. In case you accidentally turn the clock spring, count the turns like this. Go 1, 2, 3, 4, almost 5. That's from one lock to full lock the other way. There's almost 5 turns there, so just go back 2.5. There's 1, 2, and then a half, which brings you perfect. So when you put the steering wheel on, check that and make sure you're straight so you don't break the clock spring. 4 screws, 2 on each side. Remove those to take the clock spring off. 4 bolt holes to remove the switch. That one's empty, so three screws. To make it easier to remember where your screws go, put them back where they came from whenever you can. Easy peasy. 2 quick screws to get access to the board, the control board for the wiper stock. The Suzuki Esteem intermittent wiper board has an extra wire that the Metro doesn't have. It if you have the intermittent already, I think there's a 1 setting intermittent option on something like the LSI Metro. You might have this ground wire, but I do not. So I have a basic one. Look how basic this board is. Not even any circuitry. So I gotta run a ground wire for this extra wire, and I think I'm just gonna run it off of wherever this dimmer switch grounds to, and that's what it says in the schematics for the factory service manual. So that's what I'm gonna do. You could probably run it off of here or somewhere else. Who knows how good of a ground that is, so that's why I'm not gonna use that. So I gotta take this panel off here to get access to wherever the ground is for the dimmer switch. To remove this panel, there's 3 screws underneath. Just pop those out, and then you can just pull this straight out with these little clips. Take this knee panel off just to get a little bit easier access if you want. Gonna crimp this ring terminal onto the end of my ground wire here. I like to use crimp over solder. It's more reliable, it's stronger connection, it's faster, it's easier, and if you get these heat shrink connectors, it's a lot easier, a lot faster. Got the ground in, factory ground location. Should be good to go. It'll be a little easier to remove this white part here, take that screw out, and then give you a little more room to work. Cut this zip tie here, because we're going to need to cut these wires off and then crimp them onto the new switch. Very carefully cut this loom open to give you access to the wires, give you room to cut and crimp, chop off the other board, and then you're ready to strip these wires, crimp them up to the new one. So here it is with the new board in. Make sure, I know I said to use crimp connections and everything, but there's really not enough room in this harness back there. It's super tight. If you use crimp connectors, you're probably not going to be able to get this back together. I barely got it back together, and I soldered it, which is a lot more low profile. This wire here, this yellow wire, there's 2 yellow wires off of the stock. They broke out of the board 3 different times, so be super careful. They're really thin, and without those, your wiper's not going to work right. So that's it. Put it back together same way it came apart, just like a Haynes manual. Quick test before I put everything back together. Nice long delay. I'm surprised the fastest delay isn't faster than it is, but I guess that works. Low works. High. Awesome. I realize you're probably wondering, which wires do I connect to which wires? Well, I'm going to put all that in the description box for you. Thanks for watching.